Ladies and gentlemen, we're here.
I'm part of the Kliq, isn't everybody?
Yes! 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 I got an idea, yeah. Beat up John Cena!
Give me a hell yeah!
Oh, a little bit of the bubbly.
Too sweet! Here goes the mother! This is where the power lies!
I am the man.
We need if you can survive!
It's showtime, folks!
The following episode is scheduled for one fall, and it is for your listening pleasure. This is In The Kliq.
What's up, everybody? Baby Huey here, and joining me once again, I can officially say my good brother from the Fight Game Podcast is John LaRocca. How's it going, John?
I'm doing good, man. I ate a bunch of carbs today. Like, I'm super full. That's what
I
won't fall asleep on you. I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to talk about some wrestling.
Yes.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, well, I think for this week, specifically Thanksgiving week as a whole, the entire country is going to be eating a lot of carbs. So I'm mentally getting ready for that. I think I might not eat anything tomorrow. That way I can just totally veg out on Thursday. So I'm super looking forward to it. Much needed 4-day weekend for all of us. So
Sounds like a plan, man.
Yeah, no, but like, thank you again, once again, for joining me. So for all the Kliqsters out there, once again, please remember, subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and of course, follow us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at In The Kliq, intthekliq@gmail.com. But John, we had you on last week, and you and we had so much fun. We were geeking out on stuff, and I realized like so much time went by, and there was like a bunch of stuff on our little rundown sheet that we didn't get to. So I was like, listen, we need to have a part 2 ASAP. So no, thank you again for making the time, and we're gonna have some fun tonight. So full disclaimer. So once again, we're gonna have like another fun, open conversation, just give our thoughts about kind of like the current state of wrestling. But this week, we're going to focus on AEW, All Elite Wrestling, just because you and I think it's safe to say we're huge fans of the promotion. And there's a lot of good things about it. There's some things about it we want to see improve. But I think overall, this is going to be a very passionate episode. I think we want to see the show or the company as a whole do really well. So I'm looking forward to talk everything AEW with you.
Yeah, man. I know I get a little hard on AEW when it comes to my Twitter. I know that's how we've kind of connect with that and stuff. Even, people in our Fight Game Facebook group, which we have a really great group of fans in there and listeners that like if I could measure the room, it's a lot more AEW lovers than it is WWE lovers. So, and I kind of throw stuff out there, and then they kind of jump on me. And actually, respectfully, I think it's the best Facebook group, wrestling group I've been in a long time. A lot of smart people, a lot of good people, and we don't like make fun of each other. It's just like we say our points, and and everyone gets their word in, and we all listen to each other. But at the end of the day, we're just talking wrestling, so we're not going to hate each other forever or anything like that. But I'm hard on them, but shoot, it's a wrestling promotion that pays for the boys and girls, who pays for my friends, and it's for people to work when find jobs in this profession. So I don't want AEW to go anywhere. I don't want Impact to go anywhere. I don't want MLW to go anywhere. I want I want place for my friends and to work and earn a living in pro wrestling. Yeah,
so that's the thing. Well, real quick, so for the Fight Game Podcast, the Facebook page, is that okay to like just announce for anyone interested to check it out? Okay, cool.
Yeah, if you go to our Fight Game Media Twitter handle, the Fight Game Media at Fight Game Media, there's a pinned tweet on top, and that has our the link to our Facebook group. Just put an invite, accept a request in, and we'll accept you, and just join. It's really fun. We do. We have a book club. We just did with they read the Death of WCW by Brian Alvarez, And after that, Brian Alvarez came on to the Zoom with the readers, and they asked questions. So,
awesome.
And we're gonna get more books to read, and the authors will do a lot more Zooms, questions and answers for the Fight Green group. So it's pretty cool.
Sweet. Okay. Yeah. No, I recently joined the Facebook group, and like, dude, like the last few days, like the notifications I get and just like the different conversation threads, I'm like, oh my God, like I'm virtually surrounded by my people. This is awesome. I love it.
And I'm like, I like to throw classic wrestling links for people to watch. That's just my thing. I love to share great wrestling, and when I see something, I'm like, oh man, they had to watch this. And it's a good group. We got Promise Thomas on there, formerly the Heartbreakers in WWE. He's in there. We got a couple other people in there who don't really post, but they're there. You hear what we say, and it's pretty funny when I hear people report back on it. I can't believe that guy said that. It's okay. It's okay.
It's an open forum.
But it's a lot of fun. So dude. Sometimes I don't even see it. Garrett just accepts people so fast. I'm one of the administrators, and I didn't see you join. So welcome, Brian. Join the conversation, and of course all the big shows that we do live. People live chats going on with that. So I'm sure you saw the one for Survivor Series. People, it's interesting. Like I say, AEW Dynamite will have like 230 posts or comments, and then like NXT would have like 6. I'm like, dude, come on, guys. Like, come on. Love NXT. Come on.
Yeah, no, dude, we were just talking before we hit the record button. Like, dude, there's so much wrestling right now to love and appreciate. And it's great seeing a lot of these promotions kind of kickstart, get some new momentum going, trying to start putting on some new shows in this pandemic era. So it's a lot of great stuff. And like, I'm trying to like do my best to watch. I feel like honestly, all my free time, I'll work all day, come home, maybe try to take a nap or do some errands or whatever. And then it's like, I feel like, okay, what wrestling's on right now or going to be on tonight that I need to watch? And I feel like that's all I ever watch. Like my dad will come in the room and be like, what are you watching? This again? I'm like, yeah, like I kind of loosely have to do it for the podcast. Yeah. And like
I'm researching, Dad.
Dad, come on, man. Like, I'm watching this for work related stuff. But like, honestly, like I feel like I need to kind of stay on top of things because of like future interviews or something. So I have like, knowledge or stuff to reference and whatnot. So that's why for me, it's like, it's really important to stay on top of the current events, all the TV shows, the major storylines. So it's a lot to keep track of.
I get it. My wife, one of the reasons why I married her, because she just accepts my wrestling love, because all the other girlfriends before that were like, oh, it's cool you do it, and everything. But like, she was like really open to it and everything. But even that, every once in a while now, she goes, you're watching wrestling again. But like, I told her, like, I was doing this since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then later on, when I started becoming a wrestling manager and I wanted to study.
Yeah.
And when I became a booker, I wanted to watch all the territories and just soak up everything, because I could take an old idea and use it for my booking and stuff. And I had to watch the good stuff, and I would watch the bad stuff. I want to see what didn't work too as well.
Yeah.
So I just always like just get stuck on something. I want to watch it. Like right now, I'm like on a Luthez kick because my buddy Justin Nipper, myself, and JD Oliva, we're going to do a show called High Tension, and it's going to be a wrestling podcast of Japanese wrestling. We're going to talk about current events, like news of current Japanese wrestling scene, but we're going to do take an old historic match and review it and talk about the history behind it and what happened after it that took place. I'll probably give more insight of what they were doing in the ring, etc., and the psychology of the match. And so our first match we're going to cover is going to be Luthez versus Ricky Dozan from 1957, their rematch from their first match. So it's going to be it's a big match in Japan. And I watched the other night. My daughter I kind of made a funny picture of my daughter out there because I had like this old wrestling, black and white wrestling on. She's out there playing with their toys. That was just a funny visual to me, so I took it but it's a great match. So I'm looking forward to recording that with Justin and JD. And I really I've got so much stuff going on with podcasting. With I love it.
No, that's the thing. It was, I was thinking because like, listen, like real talk. Okay, I'll just say it. Like I haven't a chance to tell you privately, but like I had so much fun talking to you last week. I was like, dude, like I kind of want to make this kind of like a regular thing somehow. And like, it's it's hard to find people passionate about wrestling, but also, sound good on the microphone and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like, I'm my own biggest critic of myself, and which is my whole radio history, whatnot. But, like, I was thinking, like, oh, I should have, like, a feature with John. Like, I was thinking, like, Tales from the Booker or something. And, like, I was just, like, random,
what
like,
would John do?
Yeah, what would John, yeah, something. Like, I was thinking about, like, I know we don't have time tonight, but, like, I would love to pick your brains about, like, certain maybe storylines and why the booking decision was what it was, or from your own experience. Like, I was just thinking the other day, like, I would love to kind of hear the whole story of, like, when Cody Rhodes was doing his stuff with APW at the time. I enjoyed that little storyline leading up to the Cow Palace show, the build up on those handful of shows leading up to it. And I would kind of love to pick your brain about that. So, I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, like, maybe for another episode, we could totally break all that down, because I love the story that was kind of being told, like, leading up to that a little bit. And it was cool. So I was like, yeah, Tales from the Booker with John, or yeah, what would John do? Yeah, WWJD or something. No, but no, with that being said, like I said, I do love your brain for wrestling. And as you mentioned just a second ago, like I said, I love following your tweets and when you analyze a show, just because you have, like, a fresh, different perspective. Because, like, on Twitter, like, I'll try to do my best live tweeting. I'm trying to get more in the habit of live tweeting during a big show, a pay-per-view of some sort. And I'll kind of, like, so like Survivor Series, for example. So I'm here in the home office. I had my laptop on. I had the WWE Network open, and then I had my computer, and I had, like, Twitter, and, like, 3 different tabs open. So I had, like, a tab for just tweeting, another one for my, just seeing anyone responding, and then, like, for all the other tweets. And so I was looking at, like, other wrestling people that I follow. And, like, for example, a lot of times everyone more or less is on the same page on certain stuff that happens on a show. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. All right. I use that as an indicator, like, what I'm feeling. Does everyone else feel the same? Oh, okay, cool. All right. We're all on the same page. I'm cool. And so I'll tweet something out, I'll get confirmation. But then for you, like, I'll see you tweet stuff, and it's a whole different kind of perspective. And I really like the way you analyze. I'm like, oh, I didn't think about it that way, because no one else said it. And I'm like, that's awesome. That's a good point. So with that being said, like, going back to, we talked about last week, like, some of the stuff you're talking about with AEW recently. And I was like, yeah, because like overall, like, and maybe we'll start out with that. It's just kind of like maybe our overall viewpoints. AEW last month, they just celebrated their first full year of Dynamite in existence. So I think that's kind of a good starting point of just overall the year in review of, like, AEW Dynamite as a whole. And I overall, I love the show, but I feel like they're just missing something. It's kind of hard to sum it up. Like, I'm enjoying the show. I'm enjoying, like, the whole Wednesday Night Wars. Takes me back to being a kid again. Monday nights back in the 90s. All that stuff. But, like, it's like almost there of, like, being such an awesome promotion. And there's, like, these little things that are, like, it's not perfect, but, and that's what we'll kind of get into as we move along. But yeah, just kind of your initial thoughts of just AEW as a whole over the last year, Dynamite specifically. Yeah, just your overall takes, and we'll kind of go down from there.
Well, first of all, AEW has been successful, right? They got on TNT. They end up getting their extension on TNT. So over the next 4 years, I believe it was. So, I mean, that's just success in itself. And the ratings of the key demo, 18 to 49. So they really are high in that and doing well with that. But yeah, like you, I do see some things that they do some really good stuff that I get really into, and they kind of, like, just go overboard to, like, where it just drives me nuts. Like, no, stop. Like, I want to say stop before you mess this up.
Yeah.
And they do, just recently, the MGF Chris Jericho stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The tease that they started off with, I thought was really good. I'm like, oh man, this stuff is, like, could be really good stuff. And all of a sudden, the song and dance broke out, and, like, to me, just jumped the shark. And now I don't take it as serious anymore. So now I'm not into it,
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes AEW tends to fall back on the comedy too much. It's always some kind of inside joke. And
mm-hmm.
I think you should have some fun. You got to have some lighthearted entertainment of wrestling, but at the same time, like, the main event stuff, like, keep it serious, And
yeah.
And I know Moxley for the most part is always pretty serious, but like, you know, even just the Young Buck stuff sometimes gets a little overboard. I know that they play to that audience, but I also want to see them. Their core audience is there. They're not leaving. They're loyal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, see if you can get a newer audience to join you guys. And I know some people think the old fan that stopped watching wrestling is not there anymore, but I think there still are. So, you know, and I think why don't you try to get those people? And I don't know. It's just a lot of inconsistencies I see, and that really frustrates me.
Yeah, and I'm glad you just brought that up. This was something on my notes here, how to grow the audience. And that's something I saw recently online was like, for the most part, AEW on a consistent basis around that 800,000 range. I know, Brian Alvarez, he tweets out the ratings every week between AEW and NXT, and like the whole ratings thing has really become a big thing Thursday mornings, every week. So AEW has been consistent around like the same number week to week. It might get up a little bit. It might go down a little bit depending on probably what else is on TV at the time and the time of the year and whatnot. But like I saw people were saying like, how do you grow the audience? How do you bring more fans in? And like, sure, that's like an easy just observation to throw out there. But I'm thinking, okay, it's easy to say that, but like, how do you actually do that? Like, if you're going to be critical of that, like, suggest how to grow the audience. And to me, I started thinking, I was like, how do you grow more audience? Like, how do you get maybe more of a next generation or bring back some of the older fans, if that's the assumption that the older fans have left, or and you keep the ones you currently have happy? I mean, it's tough. I mean, the whole PR / just advertising of AEW. I was like thinking, I was like, how do you grow your audience to maybe get over 1 million a week? And I don't know. Like, I mean, that's why I don't criticize, because I don't have the answers myself. I mean, but do you have any ideas of maybe, from your background locally, like how do you kind of consistently bring people in?
Well, obviously the standard advertising stuff, but I think they do. I think lucky for them, like TNT's 100% behind them, and they do advertise them a lot and everything. But like, remember when Adam Page started his cowboy shit stuff?
Mm-hmm.
And I started getting like, man, this guy is getting hot.
Mm-hmm.
He's become like a cool, edgy character. This cowboy shit, he seems cool. He seems to be a guy you want to get behind. And I was getting a little bit of a Stone Cold vibe. Like, man, people keep not necessarily he's going to be Stone Cold. No one's going to. It's hard to. That's a whole hard bar to reach. But
like I'm a badass saying, like, loner.
Just exactly like you remember how Austin 316 took off. People started, like cowboy shit was like okay, like I guess like people get behind it, and all of a sudden he becomes this emotional drunk, and and it's like now he's like whining in hallways and crying, and I'm like, what happened to cowboy shit? What happened to this ass kicker? And I think that's something like that. Like it's still that plays to their audience, but not like, hey, we got this guy who's getting hot. Let's see if people, hey, I want to go check out that AEW. This guy is saying cowboy shit, and the whole audience is saying cowboy shit. Now that sounds cool. I want to say cowboy shit.
Drinking beers with him.
Yeah.
Pre-pandemic, sharing beers and whatnot. But
that stuff just frustrates me because I know it's cool for your BTE audience, right? That likes these inside jokes and all this stuff, but you got to think about the people that don't watch BTE, right? Like Garrett, my buddy Garrett, the host of Fight Game podcast, I do him. Like he always says, to him, being elite is not canon because what happens on there technically really doesn't really happen a lot on Dynamite. If it does, it's like so small, like only if you really watch BTE that you. So I think they either got to show highlights of BTE on Dynamite or just make none of that can play out to what's a television show,
Yeah. So, no, I'm glad you brought that up as well. Yeah, I feel like AEW, to their credit, I think they know they have like a fan base growing and they want to cater to them and give them as much content to absorb, either on social media. They've been adding a lot of stuff on YouTube, and they have Dynamite, they have Dark. So in a week alone, I know they have officially just one show on TNT, and there was rumors, or they did announce that we're working like on a second show. They haven't really followed up on that.
I think 2021 they're going to announce something.
Okay, which is great. I mean, because I think the roster is big enough now that they could totally do that. But I know they try their best to kind of get everyone some TV time by way of AEW Dark, which is on YouTube. Which, listen, in the world that we live in, I think YouTube in many ways is just as powerful as a viewing tool as TV. So, but like today, I think I saw you. Was it what you retweeted? Like, I didn't watch it, but Dark today was like 2 hours and 49 minutes. I was like, oh my God, like I don't have time to watch that.
Yeah, Carlos Toro, who does our boxing on Fight Game Media, and he also did the G1 cast with Jeff Snipper about the New Japan G1 tournament podcast. He tweeted that out, and I'm like, holy cow, 2 hours and 49 minutes of Dark, of just random matches, or usually not that good. And so that's crazy. And like Dark doesn't mean anything. I know they had the lower third on the bottom of the screen that shows the results of Dark, but all it is like just padding people's records because they had the record thing. That's all of a sudden Lance Archer's number one contender. Well, he beat like 16 job guys. Of course he's 16-1. Like what does that mean? So I wish they'd get a better format with Dark. I think it should just be an hour at the most. Booking all these people in the world just to kind of throw them out there to lose. It's just not to me. It's not worth it. But.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like I get it. Like I said, for AEW, they're like, okay, we have Dynamite, we have Dark. You can watch Being the Elite, new episodes every Monday. They got stuff on YouTube. Sammy Guevara has like a vlog. Brandy has like a little cooking show thing. I mean, they're trying their best. I think just. We have a fan base. We're gonna just oversaturate the audience with as much as content as they can to keep them as busy watching our related products, which is good or bad. I mean, good, like you said, if you don't care about WWE or anyone else, you just want to focus on AEW, great. You have plenty of content to keep you busy every single week. But like you and I, who for the most part just only has time to watch Dynamite, I try to watch Being the Elite, but sometimes it's like 30 minutes. And like on a Monday, Mondays are like a busy day for me. So I'm trying to like maybe watch a little bit while I'm working, but I can't because I end up I'm listening to it. I'm not like really focusing on it. So I'm like, I'll just turn it off because like there's no point in me, listening to this right now. So, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that happens on Being the Elite that it's like a lot of inside jokes and stuff. And then they'll make little references on Dynamite, but it's like, I don't get it. Yeah. Either the commentators need to reference that more or show maybe more clips of highlights from Being the Elite to kind of connect the two. But I think that's a good analogy. It's like, it's a separate universe or it's non-canon. I mean, it's good or bad. Like I said, I think it's great for the fans who want to watch the more comedic side / vlog behind the scenes look of AEW and the Young Bucks and whatnot. But yeah, it's a lot to keep track of. And like I said, it's good or bad, but like it just sucks for me. Like I'll watch Dynamite and they'll talk about something and I'm like, I don't care. Why is his character so funny? Oh, because he had a recurring thing on Being the Elite. I was like, well, I don't watch that. Yeah. I could kind of compare it to what I think might be happening, from like a Marvel fan, standpoint, like, we have all the Marvel movies, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they have like the Netflix shows and they would reference stuff. But luckily, like the Netflix stuff, you didn't need to watch the Marvel movies to understand the Netflix shows and vice versa. What I worry about with like Disney Plus, here we're going this whole tangent of Disney stuff, but Disney Plus, they're developing all these Marvel shows and it looks like they're going to drastically cross over. So it's like, if you don't watch the Marvel movies, you probably won't understand the Disney Plus shows and vice versa. So I anticipate they're going to have Marvel's going to be like AEW in that sense. That's a weird way of connecting it all.
I think Marvel's a little smarter than AEW.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully.
No, I get it though. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So I'm just with you as far as with AEW, it's a lot of content and it could be a little overwhelming. And like for me, I think at the end of the day, Dynamite needs to be their A1 show. Everything revolves around there first and then everyone falls out. Like that's the mothership. But with that being said, so like lately, I've enjoyed Dynamite. I think they've done an amazing job in the pandemic era. They've been very lucky to have Daily's Place as like their home base to do stuff. They've been able to add more of an audience in there. The audience, I think, has been okay. I think sometimes they're a little quiet. I get it. Like it's only 500 people, so depending how far they are, it's outdoors.
They're pretty far out there, and it's open, so the sound goes up instead of out.
Yeah. So but I think they're trying their best. And I think they've been, to AEW's credit, they've evolved the quickest and adjust during the pandemic era. for now at this point, here we are 8 months in the pandemic, they've kind of still had the same setup. Other than that, like 4-week, 6-week span where it was they were in Atlanta doing a handful of shows. They, for the most part, Dynamite's been kind of consistently the same look every week. Good or bad, hey, that's fine. I know WWE, they've adjusted with the Thunderdome, and that's been great, I think, as far as visually concerned and stuff. But so for Dynamite, like I said, I've been enjoying the flow for the most part. I think they've been doing a pretty good job of trying to rotate talent, but I guess what I'm ultimately getting at, do you think the roster is like too big now? They've signed way too many people. There's just not enough people to give screen time. Like eventually, I think a lot of criticism that WWE gets of like, oh, they got too many people signed and everyone just sits in the back. Do you think AEW already in this like first year, they're potentially at this point of like, there's a lot of people who barely get dark time, let alone Dynamite time.
They have a lot of people, but they don't have a lot of top people. They have a lot of mid-card people, a lot of people that honestly shouldn't even be on a national television.
Yeah.
Honestly. I'm sorry to say there's a lot of people, I don't want to name names, but I mean, a lot of them are out in the audience in the front row of their, you know, and there's even some people that are featured on their television that I don't know why because they just sometimes a lot of the guys, they still work like they're on the indie instead they're working like they're professional on a national promotion. And but yeah, I think they need to, like, you know, who they have on top. Like they have Jericho, they have Omega, they have Moxley, MJF,
Cody.
Young Bucks, Cody. But then, like, after those guys, who they have? Well, Darby's coming up. I mean, there's two guys at least young and coming up, like Ricky Starks and Darby. But, like, after that, like, who's going to be their main event guys? A lot of the guys they do get, like, for example, Lance Archer, they signed him. Big signing for them, right? Big get. He was red hot in New Japan after that G1 tournament he had. And the U.S. title they had put on him. Like, guys, he was really starting to make big waves in New Japan. And he signs at AEW. For good money, works one day a week, you know, because he's family more. Not a bad gig.
Be in America, you know.
Be in America, yeah. So I could see why he did that. I don't know if he has any young children, but hey, you know, being close at home with them and also just going to work one day a week, that's a good deal. But then they book him, and he loses the first big match to Cody. His first big match, he loses, right? Right then and then you want to build him back up for Moxley. It's like, well, we already saw him lose to Cody. Same thing with Brian Cage. They bring Brian Cage. He wins his Battle Royal. Now he's, you know, losing to Moxley his first match.
Yeah.
Brody Lee, same thing. And I know there were some situations. I don't know. I forget why he actually was put in that main event position. Well, during the pandemic, things were kind of switched around. But anyways, another guy brought him in, big to do. First big match, he loses. So I think they got to build these guys up more before they lose and make it mean something. Yeah. Yeah,
that's something I thought about as well. Is like they bring on these great big men, these monsters, and I love, you know, for you and I, you know, I grew up as a kid in the 80s, loving the big, just over the top looks and physiques of wrestlers. Like, to me, that's that's like the standard. I mean, you know, you and I, we both love Lex Luger. So go back to last week's episode for that story. But so I love, you know, when these guys come in and just tear it up, big power moves. Like, I just get a kick out of all that stuff. And that's the thing. It's like, I wonder, like, do they bring these just big guys in, have them go a little bit of a run, squash matches, and then ultimately lose to one of their other guys? So I wonder if there's like a big man problem, a big man issue with AEW. It's like, they just sign these big monster heels just to ultimately put over their smaller baby faces? I don't know. Like, I don't know, how do you fix that situation? Because, like, Brian Cage, I felt like he's kind of lost some momentum. Archer as well. Like, all these guys, like, I feel like the first, like, month or two, red hot, and now they kind of cooled off a bit. I don't know if that's something. How do you fix that, or how do you address that?
Well, Archer was beaten way too soon. Like, I would not have put him in that TV tournament. I know they really wanted to get him on TV and start using him, but I think you got to hold some restraint and just kind of like, no, the big picture is like in October versus Moxley on TV for an anniversary show. That's what we want to save him for that, right? In the meantime, we'll have him kill a bunch of people and get a small program to kind of get him over, and he wins that program, so he's ready by October to meet Moxley, right? Not to put him in that TV tournament and just have him lose to Cody, right? They could have done anyone else. They could have had Shawn Spears because he had a history with Cody anyways with the program. Who could have
in the chair shot,
all that kind of stuff. They could, or anyone else. I would have just held off on Lance Archer. But poor Lance Archer, was it the pay-per-view Full Gear where he's like another promo with him and Jake Roberts talking about everyone dies or going to start smashing people. I'm like, dude, you said this 3 times already. So are you going to just killing people again and then going to be lose again? That's why. So I don't know faith in you to win the big one here. So that's how they made me feel as a viewer. Like, I seen you lose their 2 big matches. So what's next? You lost their TNT title shot and you lost the heavyweight title shot. So what are you going to do? Go on another streak?
Yeah, it's like I kind of tell myself, okay, listen, I know not at the end of the day, not everyone can win. Like, not everyone is going to be the king of the mountain. Like I'll look online and I feel like every week there's someone else that wrestling fans are like, oh, this person's getting buried. This person's not doing anything. And I feel like, well, I think at the end of the day, not everyone can win and be at the top. Oh. I think in order to put someone over, someone else has to take the L. So it's always going to be like this constant just shift. And so like I was telling myself, okay, well, maybe these big guys, as much as I love what they're doing, at the end of the day, they're brought in just to lose, to help put over these other talents. But it's like a vicious cycle, I guess, what I'm kind of getting at. It's tough because, like, I want to stay their fan, but then, like, they've kind of burnt out after 2 months. And I'm like, okay, where do you go from here? So I don't know. It's like, do you have all the big heel monsters win all the time then? And then you have no strong baby faces? I guess that's... It's a kind of dilemma I lay in bed thinking about. So
like just look at here, like Lance Archer. If you don't book him to lose to Cody at the pay-per-view on May for the TNT title, you have him just smash job guys. Not every week. 1 week's a promo, 1 week you squash people. Finally, he's in a little bit of a mid-card program with someone who he wins. And then he goes on, wins that big battle royal impressively, not the way they did it, in my opinion. And then when he finally has that title shot against Moxley on the anniversary show, now you're ready. Like, oh, this stuff feels like a really big match. I don't think there's anyone, even their hardcore fan base, really believe that Lance Archer had a chance against Mox. Just because, like I said, that one result with Cody really sends waves throughout his booking. Ascension going forward after that. So, like I said, if it was me, I wouldn't have put him in that position with Cody, and I would have, if the destination of him and Mox at one point, I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna wait till it's right time for that and get him ready. So, yeah,
that's the thing is, so that's kind of like one issue I noticed with the heels per se, the big heels in AEW. So on the flip side of things, as far as baby faces go, with AEW is I thought like the end of last year, I was really digging just how the baby faces were being booked. Cody Rhodes, like they were being booked as strong, badass baby faces. While WWE, I use them as an example, I feel sometimes their baby faces are booked kind of goofy or not the most smart decision making. They're like, oh, geez, that happened. Oh, darn it! Like I should have done better. While like Cody, when the build up with Jericho for last year's Full Gear, when the Inner Circle, remember we're sitting up in that like the suite, and Jericho, and Cody and his brother and his group MJF, they just, all right, we're coming to you, and they go through the crowd. MJF wraps up Cody's hand with his scarf. And he just smashes the glass door. And he's like, I'm coming in to kick your ass. I'm like, that's an awesome babyface, badass babyface. But I'm like, all right, like I'm digging this. And that's something I haven't seen in a long time. Like so I was gonna say that was great. Like as far as babyfaces being booked at the time. With that being said, do you think babyfaces are still strong for the most part in AEW?
Yeah, I don't think there's any strong heels. I don't even think. I'm trying to think who's their strongest heels right now. I mean,
Eddie Kingston.
Well, but who's next for Moxley? Who they building to? Well, I guess Omega.
Omega now,
right?
yeah.
So, but is Mega a heel or I can't tell. Like they try to blur the lines a little too much. I think they're getting a little too cute with this Omega, Page, and Elite stuff, right?
Okay.
Like I said, you really have to watch all the BTE stuff to kind of get everything. And to me, I don't watch it. I don't know time. So and I'm just like, is he a heel? Is he a baby? Is Adam Page the heel? I thought Adam Page was going to be a heel.
Yeah.
It's just like more confusing. It is interesting in my opinion. So
thank you for bringing that up. So I guess that's kind of like what I'm kind of leaning towards too is the booking of Kenny Omega, and with that, the whole relationship with Hangman Adam Page and how this tag team, the tag champs, split up. I was getting confused for the most part of like, okay, why are they fighting again? Like, why is Hangman doesn't feel like welcome in the Elite anymore? Did they really address that on Dynamite? Like, I was kind of confused. I was like, oh, was there stuff on Being the Elite that I didn't watch? Like, okay, there's a lot right there to unpack. So, okay, let's start with Kenny Omega. So, Kenny Omega, by the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, hottest free agent in pro wrestling, arguably. Everyone was like, where's he going to go? Where's he going to go? I mean, I think for the most part, everyone knew he was going to AEW. All his buddies were going there, starting a company. It makes total sense that he was going to go to AEW. And then they had the press conference, and he announced he was going to sign an EVP, all that stuff. So everyone was like, awesome. We're finally going to get the guy who was killing the last 3 years at Wrestle Kingdom with Jericho, Okada, the Cleaner, part of the Bullet Club. We're going to get that on American television, on a cable network. America as a whole has a chance to see him prime time every week. And I was excited. I was like, yes, finally get Kenny Omega here. I don't have to stay up super late in the middle of the night in January to watch him. It's coming here. And then, this full year in review, just overall full year, kind of a disappointment a little bit as far as the handle of Kenny Omega. It's multiple things. He had some good matches early on against Moxley, Pac, and then he kind of goes into this whole tag team thing that was, I feel like this pandemic kind of really extended this whole slow burn for this ultimate split with Hangman and Page. And I think it took a little too long, and kind of the whole tension between the two, I was a little confused of why are they mad at each other. I just didn't really understand what's going on here. Please, from your perspective, just overall, just the thought of Kenny Omega, his handling of him as a character for the last year, I felt he's lost so much momentum.
Yeah, I think so too. I think what their big mistake was when they started AEW. I think because they are the executive vice presidents, right? Mm-hmm. Young Bucks, Cody, and Omega are all in that role. So I think they wanted to go in and be like, okay, we can't really push ourselves as all the championships right away, because people are going to think, oh, it's just about them and not about anyone else. And I think they wanted to establish other people first, which is commendable, right? But that's what people are behind this promotion is because of them, right? They followed Cody, Omega, and the Bucks from ROH, New Japan to ROH here. So I think they should have went with the Bucks as champions, maybe not first, but maybe early on than they did, right? It took them finally this whole time to finally win the championship. And when it happened, it was, they had a great match, but a good match, but it wasn't, I think it was a little long overdue. I think they should have went to FTR Young Bucks a lot sooner, but that's a whole nother story. And Omega too, Omega, they wanted to hold them off, and for year two, they're kind of pretty much, I think, foreshadowed him winning, on December 2nd. Yeah, and it's gonna be all about Omega. So that's where we're gonna get the Omega of people see, quote unquote, New Japan, right? So, and I think they should have started early with those guys. They should have started those guys on top. Oh man, Omega's the champ. He's the first guy to start with. I think he would have been perfect and hot from his run. So, yeah,
I think for AEW, they still got to try to build up some more stars. And I really listen, I love Chris Jericho. Like, not to name drop, I've been lucky enough to kind of get to know him pretty well the last couple of years, hang out with him, whatnot. I thought he was a great choice for the first champion as far as just his, his overall media exposure, a recognizable name, all that stuff. But then part of me also was like, I really think Kenny Omega should have been that first champion. But then I get it. Back last year, there was the whole issue of like Pac, Hangman, like disputing of like their bookings at the time, and like could Pac, if I remember correctly, God, it's so long, like over a year and a half ago now, but I'm trying to remember, like Heyman actually went over, so you have you didn't want to have two baby faces, so you need a baby face and a heel, so that's why Jericho went over on Kenny at the time. And so, but at the same time, I'm like, Kenny was still had that momentum going. I really thought he should have been the first champion, and they could really just play it up of like big bout Kenny here. He's here in America now. But he's cooled off so much. And like I said, I don't know if you can explain, but like, okay, he goes in this tag team run with Hangman. And I was kind of like, I'm trying to remember, why were they a tag team again? Like, I feel like at times for me, they need to kind of remind me more about like certain story beats, how we got here. I was like, okay, they were thrown together on that boat or on the cruise ship, right? Or I'm trying to remember, like that's how long ago it's been.
A little before that, they were put together, and then there was like teases of Adam Page turning, right, or on him early on, but then they were on different pages at time. Double team moves weren't working out, but then they finally get together. Then they're built up as this great tag team, and they were a good team. They had a lot of good matches. And then finally they lose, and then Omega's like, I'm done with tag teams. I don't want to do it anymore.
I'm a singles guy now.
I'm a singles guy. The cleaner's coming back, or whatever he said. But then Adam Page is like, they did that dual sit-down interview. Like they had Jim Ross on that page early on, and later in the show, Jim Ross and Omega. Mm-hmm. And Adam Page is like, yeah, we're cool. We'll get back in it. We're going to go for the tag titles again. And then like Kenny Omega's like, no, I'm done with tag team wrestling. And next week, Adam Page still thinking like, oh yeah, we're cool, we're gonna get together, and Adam Page and Kenny Omega's like, yeah, sure, buddy, yeah. Like they do well with like, booking where people know what's going on in the show. Like the characters aren't like they don't see stuff that happens. Like sometimes WWE has that fake like wall up or whatever, like where the bay faces are kind of like, I didn't know that was gonna come. Maybe not everyone saw it was gonna come a mile away, but like. But here Adam Page like, what, doesn't know? Didn't see this interview with Jim Ross, and not, I don't know. I think the pandemic did extend the storyline a little too much, but I just think once it happened, it was like, yeah. And then they had their match at Full Gear, and as a match, it was really good. But it was a really good Kenny Omega match that you always see for him, but like it didn't feel like two guys that had an issue. Mm-hmm. The two guys having a great wrestling match,
a grudge,
but like there's been these issues and trash talking or side remarks and little backhanded compliments, and all of a sudden like the match starts and they shake each other's hand. I'm like, wouldn't they start slugging each other or pushing, jaw jacking? Like what? But now they're just let's have a good match, best of luck. And that shit like that drives me nuts. Like those little small details just drives me insane.
Yeah, like for me, it's like I was like, okay, because even like the Stadium Stampede or the build up to that at Double or Nothing was like, Heyman was always like by himself or walking by himself, and I was like, wait a second, why does he not feel a part of the group anymore? Like, and I guess it was addressed on Being Elite. Well, I'm like, well, your bread and butter is Dynamite. Like, I want to feel more of this tension amongst the Elite. From Dynamite, like Being the Elite should be maybe kind of go over a little bit more in detail, but like start with Dynamite first. That's what's just kind of annoying. I was like, I wasn't emotionally getting caught up on why Hangman felt so distant from the group, and I was just getting kind of confused. Like, okay, I guess he doesn't feel welcome, but like, why is that? Like, and then that ultimately led to kind of also with him and Kenny, and like I said, I randomly watched a couple episodes of Being Elite a couple weeks ago, and I see like some stuff with Hangman there. I'm like, oh, well, so this is where Hangman's main story is being told on? Like, it's a little frustrating for me because I don't watch Being Elite every week, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to care about what happens on Dynamite your main show that TNT, the network, is paying you good money for, versus you're probably giving some good storyline away on YouTube. So it's frustrating to me because like I see, like you said, I see like Stone Cold tendencies from Hangman. He could be a badass babyface loner that kicks everyone's ass as far as just that general comparison. And like I see the potential there, but imagine if Stone Cold was doing like all his best stuff on a YouTube show and like we would get a little bit on Raw. I mean, that's
or like he's upset that he turned on his friends. Now he's emotional distraught about it and doesn't know how to
his emotion, how to express it.
Yeah, how to express himself. And now, like I said, he went from cowboy shit to kicking everyone's ass to standing in hallways, looking at his friends celebrate, and just kind of teary eyes. Like,
yeah,
it's just like a lost puppy. Like it just drives me insane. Like, why would they do this to this guy when he was the guy that was really starting to organically kind of. That's organic, man. Just him staying cowboy shit. The whole crowd started joining with that. Next, for weeks or before the pandemic, obviously, they're just saying the same thing. Like, man, it just feels like this is something that's going to be thrown on a shirt and people are going to wear it and people are going to chant it. And all of a sudden, I know the pandemic happens, but still, like, later he's like emotional distraught and, he's being used by FTR. Now he looks like an idiot. And then, now they use him. So now he's a goofball. And
that was also kind of confusing, too, the whole FTR stuff. It's like, okay, he interfered with the Young Bucks, prevented him from advancing. That got him pissed off. And I was kind of confused. They didn't really explain, was he helping FTR because he didn't feel Young Bucks were good enough to take him? Like, that story wasn't fully fleshed out as far as the reasoning behind his motives. And I was kind of like confused. And I don't know, maybe it was addressed on Being Elite. I wasn't watching Being Elite regularly a couple months ago, so I don't know. And that's, like I said, what's just frustrating is some of these major story beats, too much of the overflow is on the YouTube show. And I don't know, like I said, I think you and I would come from the same place. Like, I think we're being kind of critical on this because we see the potential of just being this awesome week to week show that should be must see TV every week, but we're not getting that. And in some ways, because the must see TV is over on YouTube, and I'm like, well, I don't have time for that. And I don't know. I feel like I'm running in circles here talking about all this stuff, but it's just
it ultimately falls on Tony Khan, right? Like, he's the booker,
yeah.
And so he needs to kind of like, I'm sure. To me, it seems like a lot of AEW. I know he says he's the booker, but I feel like it feels like the Young Bucks book their stuff, that Cody books his stuff, kind of that that kind of deal. I'm not sure it's not 100% all that, but like it just feels that way. And so he needs to be the guy that kind of like is filters too, and he needs to kind of keep it all together and watch for the holes and how can we use BTE to further our storylines, but we also need to show footage of that on our Dynamite show, because if we don't show it, then how are people going to know these little small emotional beats, like you said, storyline beats that they miss it. It's going to be confusing to them. Like, it is confusing to me because I don't watch BT. I just don't have time for that.
Yeah. So, like you said, it should have been more of an emotional impact when Hangman fell down at was it All In, or excuse me, All Out, and Kenny walked off, and then all of a sudden Kenny just says, like, I felt like his transition into, quote, the Cleaner again, Cleaner 2.0. It just, all right, one week he shows up in a suit. Like, it wasn't. I didn't feel like it was so natural. It just, all right, you guys want it? Here it is now. Like, I'm just putting on the sunglasses for you guys so you can be quiet now. I kind of feel like, I was like, for anyone who might not have seen the Cleaner originally in New Japan, maybe kind of retell that story or remind people how'd you get there, or make the transition into the Cleaner again a bigger deal, and it's a whole transitional process, like a build up to that, not just like a couple weeks later he just starts wearing a suit and he has sunglasses on.
Because like a newer fan of AEW doesn't know the story of Cleaner, so maybe they should be an interview of of course they're not gonna be able to show footage of it but they have stills that they can take and from people, and he can tell a story. What's the mentality of the Cleaner? Why I was the Cleaner, and now why I need to bring that character back or that persona back, because I need this to get that edge, to beat a guy like Moxley, who's been undefeatable, who's beat Archer, who's beat Brody Lee, who's beat Eddie Kingston, everyone put in front of him. But now when I'm ready, and he beat me at that one pay-per-view where they had all a million gimmicks and spider barbed wire and glass. He beat Omega already, right? So now Cleaner, the best bout machine, the best wrestler in the world, in many people's eyes, not mine, but many people's eyes, right? This is what I have to do to beat Jon Moxley on this, December 2nd at the cold day in hell, where they're calling the show.
Winter's coming. Yeah, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, there you go.
No, I totally agree with you. Wow. I just like, for everyone listening right now, I'm just head nodding to everything John's been saying. It's just so spot on. A couple more things before we wrap it up for tonight. I guess just overall your thoughts on maybe just Jon Moxley's title reign. So he's the second ever champion for AEW after Chris Jericho. So he's been champion now at this point longer than Jericho was in his first, or that first title reign. So he won it back at Revolution, I think it was against Jericho, and he's been champ ever since. So initially he started out as champ with the crowds there, and he's been champ the whole time during this pandemic. And I was a fan of Dean Ambrose back in WWE. I'm still kind of a little torn on Moxley as a whole. I feel like it's been a little bumpy. I mean, but yeah, kind of maybe your initial just thoughts on Moxley's just title reign so far in AEW.
I think Moxley's been a good champion. I think they booked him really well. They booked him strong. He, anytime you book a long reign and the guy winning, it's consistently, it builds credibility for him as the champion. Mm-hmm. I still haven't seen that really great match though.
Yeah.
Like as champion. I haven't seen that. Wow, man. What a performance. I didn't like the match with Brody Lee. I just thought it was a lot of anything goes stuff. I mean, he has a lot of those. He kind of gets pigeonholed in that. Like he does like that hardcore match. Like
he just goes outside right away.
Yeah, he goes outside right away. He does that dive out with the forearm. And it's right away to the floor to everything. But the thing, and this is AEW, when every match goes to the floor, so there's nothing unique when he does it because we've already seen it for 5 matches before him.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen anything big. MJF, I thought was a good match, but nothing like, wow, this is like the big world title match. Mm-hmm. I thought that match felt flat. Kingston I Quit match, that's the match I expected. Plunder, we got Plunder, and we got gimmicks, but like they totally executed the I Quit match wrong with no microphone, and it just came off so flat too as well. So I haven't seen that big match from him, but maybe it's coming. Maybe it's coming next week, and with the maybe Kenny Omega's going to pull it out of him. That great match. So we'll see. I just think I think when it comes to promos, like he's fantastic. Mm-hmm. He's awesome. I think he's I really dig his promos, especially the last week about his dad and how his dad says we're the good guys, all that stuff. That was really well done. So I think they've done a really good job with him. I think for sure they've done a really good job. I mean, I just, as himself as a performer, when it comes to the matches, the big world title matches, I haven't seen that great match from him. Like I wasn't impressed with the Brian Cage match. I wasn't impressed with
Hager.
Or Hager, or and that was a totally different thing. But still, it was okay, but it just was too long, I think, too, as well. And then also the Archer too, I thought it was okay. It wasn't like anything that's like, wow, man, this guy's just having great world championship matches or anything.
The thing for me, or why I guess I hold Moxley up to a little bit of a higher standard, was when he did his Talk Is Jericho podcast interview last year. Mm-hmm. And he said during that 8-month period he was at home recovering from his injury with WWE, he said he was watching a lot of just wrestling, old school wrestling, watching from wrestling all over from different parts of the world, old stuff, new stuff. And he said he became like a fan again. And I was like, awesome. Like he sounds remotivated. He sounds inspired. He maybe is getting some new ideas for matches based on some of the older stuff he was watching. So I was like, I cannot wait to see what he has in store for AEW. And it's kind of, as you said, a little bit like, by the numbers, kind of like the same old stuff. And I mean, like, I try not to be super critical because, like I said, we're in a pandemic. Things have changed. The presentation's a little bit different than what they're used to or what they wanted to do. But yeah, I'm with you as far as he runs out, does the forearm, flying out of the ring. He kind of goes outside on the floor, and like there's no count out anymore with him. And there's, I don't know. I just, like I said, it has been like that oh my god match moment in Moxley's time so far in AEW. It's like must see, can watch it over and over. And I'm like, where's this guy that was watching all this stuff during his downtime like 2 years ago?
He had a lot of good matches in G1 when he was in New Japan.
Yeah.
He did that. But he's also wrestling Minoru Suzuki, Ishii, and guys like that too. So they're bringing a lot out of him too as well. But I don't know. I just maybe, like I said, I think in AEW kind of gets, it's like always comes out to that hardcore match. Here comes the tables. Here comes the barbed wire bat. Like, I want to see a good wrestling match with that guy.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And so just a couple more things real quick, just touch on for this episode. So listen, the women's division's been kind of like a big thing that's been discussed a lot, just kind of how poor the execution's been and whatnot. I know it's been a very bumpy road to begin with. I mean, Brandy had her faction that was quickly like yanked off TV. There's been some members of the women's roster that's been injured, so
or they can't come into the country. Yeah,
the travel issues as well. So listen, I know there's a lot of things that they're handcuffed to that they just can't work around. I guess I'm trying to think. I'd be so Mr. Negative, but like I guess for you, what are some ways you would like to see the women's division improve moving forward?
Well, I think they got to, first of all, keep the matches shorter. Take some time. A lot of these women matches go 2 segments, and these girls can't go 2 segments and keep it. I mean, not saying women can't. I'm just saying these women on this roster, their experience level, they can't really carry 2 segments. It breaks down on them, and people get exposed. Hikaru Shida, she's beautiful. She's a talented actress in Japan. She has a hard work ethic, but she's has a lot of holes in her game. Very, still very green in a way. Like, she's not she doesn't have the ability to carry someone to a great match. She needs a good dance partner herself. Yeah. And there's not many people that can be good dance partners. She had that, a lot of people praised her match with Nyla Rose on a pay-per-view. They had but they had to use a lot of smoke and mirrors. They lose tables and chairs and all that kind of stuff just to have that great match. So they have Serena Deeb, who's a good, solid worker, but that's one of it in that promotion. Riho, who's unfortunately she's in Japan right now, but she has that connection. The crowd loves her. She's also I don't think she can carry that many people too, but I think she has that. Just a really fun underdog quality for her. I really miss Riho at least. I think she would. When they get her back, things like Jamie Hayter was pretty good from the UK. She was, when they brought her in, I thought she was pretty good, but of course they haven't brought her back because of the pandemic. So Bea Priestley, they haven't brought her back. What's her name? Brittany Baker as a babyface was not, just wasn't good. She's not a good wrestler, but she's a great character. Yeah. I think Britt Baker should be freaking Sherry Martel. I think she should be a manager personally and wrestle on occasion. Because she's a good talker. She's really come into her own as this character, this heel character. I think if she wrestles fewer here and there, we have more impact than when she wrestles on a weekly basis. Looks like she's about ready to get wrestling again. Looks like she's in a program with Thunder Rosa coming up. Looks like from the last TV. So. Big Swole. Whew. I don't know how she even made it on national television. I mean, she's so. You didn't sign her. Like, it's just she just doesn't. I don't get it. A lot of personality, a lot of charisma, but God, when the bell rings, it's just one of the worst wrestlers I've ever seen on a national television. I'm sorry to say that, and not be an asshole, but I'm just seeing what I'm seeing. And Thunder Rosa adds some quality. Ivelisse, I don't know. She's always been a headache, and I feel like she's been, she hasn't really done much here. Hasn't looked good in the ring here. Diamante looks like she's took a step back. So I don't know. Nyla Rose, I've already seen her lose a bunch of times, so she's not really a beast. Like, to me, like she lost to Riho early on in the promotion. Like, how can this 100-pound girl beat this monster even on a roll up? It's just stupid, and she's being wasted. Vicky Guerrero stuff's just ridiculous. they need to find better talent. Is there talent out there? I mean, God, WWE has really locked a lot of them up. I mean, the UK side and, of course, the United States side.
Well, like, okay.
Japan, they can add some more Japanese women, but, they could do that. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting, like, over the last couple of months, arguably, they've given more love to the NWA women's division, or at least that title.
It's more interesting than their title.
Yeah, and I'm like, I scratched my head, and I was like, how's this going on? I don't know. Maybe Billy Corgan and Tony Khan, when they worked out the sharing deal for Thunder Rosa to come over and do some stuff with AEW, maybe that's part of the agreement. It's like, okay, my title needs more TV time than the AEW title. I don't know. I'm just guessing. Like, I have no idea.
Building to a big title for title match that makes sense. They're gonna have a double champion for a while. That makes sense. Maybe they will. Maybe they are going to do that. But I just don't see the benefit. I would just say, hey, we want Thunder Rosa. Here's how much is a contract. We want to buy her out.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Like, what is he going to do? Like, he should be like, okay, whatever. I'm not doing anything anyways. Might as well take some money back and make my money back on her.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Is like, I know she said she's under contract through 2021, but like, which part of 2020? Is it early 2021? Is it January 1st, or is it like June, or like what's the timeline? Like,
we'll buy out the remaining. We'll buy out the remaining of her contract.
Yeah.
Renegotiate with her on her own contract. So yeah. I don't see the benefit of it. I mean, it actually more benefits NWA than it does AEW, right? It gets NWA's name out there still.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that they need to find some better women talent. It's not many out there right now. I
was thinking, like, I saw someone tweeted out, like, okay, like, Nicole Savoy, up here in Northern California, Allison Kay. I don't even know what, like, Tessa Blanchard. I know Tessa Blanchard's had a lot of drama, and
if she's not there now, there's definitely issues there. Jordan Grace would be someone that they might want to get from Impact when she's available. I don't know how long her contract's going. I'm
surprised they didn't get Deanna Peraza when she was let go from NXT. But okay. Okay,
I think Impact's the only place she had an option to go.
Okay, all right. I hear what you're saying. I get what you're saying. That's awesome. No, I get what you're saying on that. It's
but she's a talented in the ring. She is talented, but we like Tasha too. Tasha's a surprise, but I think she has some enemies there. I guess that's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah.
Hopefully not. Hopefully, because she is talented. She could definitely add to something if they ever wanted to bring her in. So.
Totally. Listen, and then, like you said, you see how, like, I know we keep making the comparison, but like WWE, like on any given week, like a lot of times NXT has like two women's matches or segments every week, and they're like awesome. Like last week, Rhea Ripley, Shirai tore it up, and
the tag match they had was good. The first tag match, Second tag match was good though, but the main event was great. And
they're going to get like another year of War Game matches out of them from their women's division. Obviously Raw and SmackDown's got a plenty. NXT UK's got a bunch. So anyway, I'm just saying, like, there are talented women out there, and you see like WWE, lets them shine and gives them opportunity to do great things out there. So I just scratch my head. It's like, why AEW can't do that? And listen, I know it can't be done overnight. It takes time, but it's like, you got to start somewhere and just keep that momentum going. So, like I said, that's kind of like where I get frustrated. So
you brought up Nicole Savoy, which they brought her in for that Deadly Draw tournament, almost like the Battle Bowl, picked the random drawings of tag team partners. Of course, she was a tag team partner of Big Swole on the Indies, and she was called Little Swole.
Yeah.
But that's great. It was cool in Shimmer, whatever hell they did, or whatever promotion they did it in.
Mm-hmm.
But Nicole shows up and she's just dancing and she's being goofy. Did you even watch those shows?
I did not watch that one. No.
Well, it's like the worst wrestling you'll see all year, but it was so bad it was funny, kind of bad. So I enjoyed the hell of it. It was my favorite sitcom of the year, The Deadly Truth. But Nicole comes out and she's just being this goofy character, Little Swole, instead of being Nicole Savoy, and I'm like, they already have a Big Swole. What does it benefit Nicole Savoy to be Little Swole here? She has the ability to be a different type of worker. She could be she knows grappling. She can be a little badass.
The suplex machine, yeah.
Yeah, just something different than and now she's just a one-note comedy wrestler. And and she hasn't signed, so I'm guessing, it didn't go well or at least. But then again, you also got to think too, like AEW. A lot of people are like, oh, they should sign this person, sign this person, sign this person. They don't have I mean, if they wanted to, I guess they would have funds to sign all these people. But, Tony Khan has a budget right now, and he just can't sign everyone that WWE releases or something like that. So it's going to take time. And like I said, but he needs to kind of go through that roster, I think, and get rid of some people that are just kind of like treading water, I don't see the benefit of Joey Janela. I'm sorry. He adds much. I think Joey Janela's benefit is on the indies. I think he's a good promoter, self-promoter.
Yep.
I think he'd be great for AEW, right? Honestly, if he brought an AEW, he'd be a draw for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
National television wrestler? No. He's just not ready for that. And
I hear you on that one, totally.
And there's a couple others. I don't want to name names, but, you got to go through that roster and kind of go, okay, cool. I know we signed this because you're a buddy of someone from a long time ago, but, he's not really doing me much sitting in the front row on Dynamite. I want a guy that I could plug in on Dynamite and build up pay-per-view matches with, not sit there and cheer on like a fan.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, dude. And like I said, I can't stress this enough. I think for you and I, we're such huge fans of wrestling but specifically AEW, the potential that's there, the people involved. We want to see this succeed. We want this to be around for decades to come. And listen, I know we were very critical on a lot of things, but I think it comes from the heart, the passion and just we see all these great things that they can do. And like I said, I still give them the benefit of the doubt. It's okay, they're still barely over a year old now theoretically as far as Dynamite goes, so they're working out the kinks and stuff. But no, I'm still excited for a lot of things. I was kind of thinking of how can we end on a more positive note with, but
positive note is that they, like I said, they had that successful contract they signed. They're still doing really well with the key demo.
Yeah.
So, but we'll see. To me, I'm not really big into year one, because year one, everyone's happy and excited, right? But and Tony Khan's a new booker. He's never booked anything in his life other than his own stuff, right? As his own fantasy booking, right? So now he's a booker now, and he had some good ideas early on. There's stuff with Cody, coming in with the scarf and busting the window, that was all good stuff early on. But I mean, Booker Burnout's a real deal, man. It is a real deal. So how can he continue this pace next year in year 3, right? Because all that, because you've watched the show, on our Fight Game podcast, I always talk about this, AEW year 1 reminds me of a lot of Nitro year 1 and 2-ish, right? Because they started late 95, so that's 95, 96, right?
Yeah.
Every segment something was happening. Every segment things were moving on that show, rapid pace.
Yeah.
Same thing AEW. There's always something going on. Let's go backstage. Let's do this. Let's do it. But if you remember Nitro, by they're doing all right in 97, but by late 97, things kept getting repetitive.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times do you see NWO attack people at the end of the show and all that kind of stuff? And just this last AEW Dynamite show alone, I saw some stuff of some Booker Burnout stuff, 2 backstage attacks, 2 people threatening to turn on someone but they don't, or they do. It's the same thing, just different ways they did it. That stuff, it's Tony. It's gonna be tough for him. He has to have someone there to kind of be something he can bounce off and trust. That's going to be in trust. Someone's going to trust. No, it's not a good idea. You should do it this way, instead of someone you're oh yeah, that sounds great. Because he needs someone to really lean on. I'm guessing I hope he has that there.
Yeah, no, that all great stuff, and I totally get what you're saying, and I think for the most part, most AEW fans feel the same way. Just from talking to other people who watch it on a regular basis, I think we're all kind of that general consensus of we see all these great things, and this was great, that was great, but okay, well, that little thing that could have been done a little bit differently, or a little bit of a head scratcher. So all great things. We nonetheless, we're still going to tune in every week. We're going to talk about it. Looking forward to December 2nd, Moxley against Omega. That should be really interesting. Just winter is coming on a Wednesday night, so hopefully that's going to be a very fun pay-per-view-esque level show of Dynamite coming up soon. So yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff. And once again, I have a bunch of other stuff about AEW we didn't get to. We'll save it for another episode very soon. But no, John, thank you again for making the time tonight once again. So where can all of the Kliqsters follow you online and keep track of all your shows?
You can follow me on Twitter at LaRoccaJL. That's LaRoccajL. And Fight Game Media at Fight Game Media for everything we have. We got a lot of stuff, content coming out every day. We have articles and podcasts, and we're just going nuts right now. We're just trying to grow this empire, man.
Yeah.
We're hustling, and we're gonna start I can't say that yet, but we're gonna start another thing soon. So
cool.
Hopefully I'll announce it soon. So it's gonna be fun and exciting.
That's I respect all that. Just kind of what I've been able to see online. It's so cool. And just like I said, respect all that stuff you guys been doing. So, I'm Baby Huey. Follow me on Facebook at Baby Huey Official, Twitter and Instagram at Baby Huey 83. Subscribe to In The Kliq on any of the major podcast platforms that you listen to. Follow us on social media as well. And let's go home because that's the bottom line, because Huey said so.